Matthew Kynes, and I currently teach in Houston, which I think someone from Houston now just joined the chat too. But I'm at Yes Prep Public Schools, Yes Prep East End Secondary, Go Explorers. But I've been teaching for 12 years. This is my first year at Yes, but I'll talk about that in a bit. But the goal of the session is it's called Ignite Classroom Collaboration. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about collaborations. Obviously, I think we saw in the chat, there's a lot of middle school, a lot of high school, some who do both. Those are a lot ages where like the collaboration in class is super important. And I know it's something that all of our schools are looking for in classes. And we all teach computer programming, and sometimes it's a bit different with collaboration. So we were going to talk about just ways to leverage existing CodeHS features. There's 3 things we're going to look at to promote student collaboration, creativity, and also a feature CodeHS is looking to add this in beta that allows us not just student-to-student collaboration, but kind of student-to-teacher collaboration for quicker feedback and just all the cool things we can do with that. So last is going to be just let's explore what CodeHS kind of already has and how we can make it really good for collaboration. There are 3 kind of things we're going to look at, 3 big ideas, and maybe you've worked with some of them before. But the first one is we're going to talk about kind of a group debugging activity you can do. It's the sandbox files you can turn collaboration on and kind of how you can use that in class. Number 2, which is one of my favorite things that we did this year and the kids had a ton of fun with, is having students actually create and then solve each other's Carol problems. So we'll learn how to make that happen. And then number 3 is kind of teacher-student live feedback and just a better way to kind of progress monitor and work with our students on their code. So those are the 3 kind of sections. It's going to be pretty fun and hands-on because we're going to get to actually do the activities for the first 2. So we'll get to practice. We'll all leave with some stuff we've made. But yeah, I'm excited to talk classroom collaboration with you all. And just a little more about me. So this is my 12th year teaching. I was in the DC area for 11 years, both in Prince George's County, Maryland, and then DC. And then this is my first year in beautiful Houston, Texas. But I have 10 years experience as a computer science teacher. My first 2 years were actually in English. And then I converted to computer science education, which is a lot of fun, as you all know. But yeah, the current course I teach is Fundamentals of Computer Science. I've taught a lot over the years, but currently with Fundamentals of Computer Science, we use the Texas Fundamentals of Computer Science course on CodeHS, which has a lot of, see some nods out there. It's a cool course, got a lot of great resources. I also teach our middle school tech applications course. I teach a section that where we use the computing ideas course. So a lot of fun with both of those. And then outside of the classroom, I'm a big runner. I enjoy cooking, not well, but I'm trying. And then I'm from Pittsburgh initially, so Pittsburgh sports is of course the most important thing. We got a big hockey game at 7 p.m. Central today. So, oh, Western Maryland, nice, yeah. And I see Alding too. So a lot of Maryland and DC connections. And yeah, so that's me. And I'm really excited to talk collaboration with you all. So before we get Las Vegas hockey, yeah, you're a good team. I'll give you that. But yeah, so in the chat, just to see where we're at with collaboration, and also because I'm assuming you all picked this because you've got an interest in collaboration too, and probably have some good ideas. Just you can answer one or both of the following questions. Anyone that's speaking to you, but number 1, what is a strategy you've used to promote collaboration in your programming courses? I'm going to show you 3 that I've used here in a second, but I'm sure that you all have great ideas too. And then number 2, how would you like to use more collaboration in your programming courses? If you have an idea that you're kind of thinking of, this is something I'd like to see more, and maybe talking about it in the community could help us flesh those out. So yeah, feel free to put those in the chat. Yeah, pairs is what I'm trying to push more to, because the best way to learn something is I feel be responsible for also then teaching it to other people. So the more I can give kids that opportunity, the better. Pair programming, group debugging on large chart paper. Cool. So that's going to get into kind of the first thing we're doing with the CodeHS group debugging. Yeah, David, I do. The focus mode is great. I love kind of being able to, all right, we're all just doing this thing for the next 20 minutes. And it's great to be able to enable that. Yeah. Ooh, I haven't used Jamboard for debugging, but that makes a lot of sense as something that'd be kind of cool. So Gregory, focus mode, and if I'm wrong, but it's you kind of pick, there's one exercise that everyone in the class is working on, they're not anywhere else. So it's kind of just a way to make sure that if they're logged into CodeHS, they're only on this one problem. And it kind of keeps people like, it just keeps engagement on and focus on this one thing. And you kind of are able to build like an environment where we're all on it. So there's a lot of pair group work, feedback opportunity. I saw peer feedback a couple of times. Yeah, I've been doing, my middle schoolers really love peer feedback because they love showing off their projects to each other. And it's been good to get them to see other ways to do things. All right, so it seems we've got a lot of good ideas, and a lot of what we all wrote down is stuff that we're going to be kind of looking at in here, particularly like the group debugging I saw. And then I'm excited to show you all that, and then maybe play around with that a little bit. And then, yeah, the Carol Worlds thing too, I think for the pair activities y'all are talking about, it's been a really successful pair activity in my class this year that I'm excited to show you all. So I'll move into the first activity, and we are going to get to do some of this together. But so the first kind of collaboration idea, and all of these are using what's already in CodeHS. So not having to go to any other sites, any other resources, just taking what is in CodeHS and being able to use it for collaboration. So the purpose of group debugging, as y'all know, is have students work together to find and fix errors. I've done this as like a do first, or you can kind of do a group activity with it. You can do whole class, you can do one group. But this is one that we're going to debug here in a second altogether. This is one I did in class 2 for when we were doing Boolean operators and kind of expressions in Python. So you're going to get the link to this program in a second, and we're all going to be typing into it together. So it'll be a nice experience. But the goal of this program is that this should ask the user for their grade on an exam. It should print A if they input 90 or higher, B if the grade is between 80 and 89, C if the grade is between 70 and 79, and if they got below a 70, it should tell them they did not pass. So just as kind of a standard grade program based off of user input. I made quite a few errors in here. That is why it's not working. So our task is going to be to find and fix those errors so we get it working. So you're all going to get to access this program. You can get to it at that link right there. And I'll copy the link for the chat too. But if you go to bit.ly/group debugging, and I'll also copy and paste it into the chat as well. But this is a sandbox file I made. And as you can see, people are popping in. So Tiffany, Diana are in, Angel's in, +8. We've got a lot more people in. And then as you'll start to see, as people are typing into it, you can see Jeremy's name and cursor and where Jeremy is. So if you're doing this in class, you can have this up on the board and be able to see what people are typing. So yeah, try to find and fix as many as you all can. Yeah, someone found the else part I messed up down there. Yeah, and Sarah, I love that you're adding a comment, because that's what I tell my kids to do too. When you fix an error, add a comment for why, like what you fixed. And yeah, that's obviously else doesn't take a condition. So it's the default. But yeah, that's what I've had. And Diana, I see you doing that too. Yeah. Someone fixed the int. I love it. And what's cool also is you put this on the board, kids are excited to see kind of what they're typing. And that also allows you to monitor participation and kind of seeing who's typing what, making sure that everything is on the up and up. And eventually when you run it, it should, we still got one error. Oh, I think it's E on 14. Oh yeah, we're at another LF. Yeah. And yeah, we need the greater than or equal to 70 because we want 70 to be included in the C score. And then as you're doing this, you can kind of do what I'm doing here. You can see I'm running it, and you in the class can start to see, oh, cool, we got like some progress. Like we're getting it to work now. We're getting closer. I'm gonna put 83 and see. All right, we're getting there. We got the correct output. Oh, I see, Jacqueline, you're even adding an option for your own grading scale. Yep, if it's a 60 or higher. Yep. And then so when you all are, oh, it got all deleted. But when you're all done with the collaboration, you can go to, like, when you want them to stop collaborating, all right, we found it all. You can go to share and you can go to collaborate. Or actually no, so that's how you give them a link. So you go to share, collaborate. That's when you can give them the link and put this on there. But you can go to, I think it's settings. There should be a way to turn, oh, it's this one, collaborate. You can even see a chat here too, where like you can put messages in like, you all have one more error. And I can send it and everyone will see it. And then when you're ready to be done chatting or collaborating, you can just disable it and be like, all right, we solved it. Like we're done. We're moving on to the next activity. And that kind of keeps everyone together. And then you as the teacher can go into the history and you can kind of see the changes that were made. So you can kind of see your class's progress on it. But that's kind of the gist of, oh, good, Suzanne. That's kind of the gist of group debugging. And just kind of like the way, so I've done this in class where like I've used it as a do first. I've done it in class where like the whole class is doing it, but sometimes, as you saw, that's a lot with like 20 some people. So I've made 6 different versions, and I have my class in 6 tables. So I've made 6 different versions, and like each table has their own version, and it kind of makes tracking the collaboration easier. And you can also then do a fun like group competition, like whichever table finds all the errors first wins. Just some ways to kind of go about doing it. But yeah, and it also works for peer editing and review, because you can tell kids to just, okay, go to your sandbox, go to collaborate, turn it on, send it to, a peer. And now the peer is actually able to be in the code, kind of leaving comments, can mark up. You can teach kids like how to like, leave effective comment feedback that way. But that's just, that's another way I've used it too, where like you share with 2 other people and like the kids can actually be marking up the code together. And it works really well for pair programming. So is the peer working a forked copy or the original? If you send them so let me just go back to the sandbox. If you send them this link, this collaborate link, it is the original. They are typing into the original. It works exactly like a Google Doc. The forking would be if you want them to like, if you send them this link, just like the share link, and then it's the same with any other sandbox file. They get the fork up at the top where they can fork their own. Yeah. But if you want them to do like you're typing into the same thing, the Google Doc mode, it's this other collaborate tab, which is really fun because then it just like, then you don't have to share it back and forth. It's just like, it's already there. The kids are typing in the same version. So that's kind of the first one idea. And I'm glad we got to practice. And I think we did find all the errors and then even started improving the program even more. But if you have any other questions about how to use this group debugging, or just thoughts or opportunities for like how other ways you think you could use it in class, I'd love to hear it, because I'm obviously was trying to find better ways to do this. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them, or just other suggestions on where this could work.
We do have a couple questions, Steve.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. One is board is extremely unlikely to pay for pro, so please let us stuck with free. What can we do do you have any suggestions?
So admittedly, I have pro. I'm not sure if it's is it in the free version? If you, is it only, it's only in the pro? So what you could do, the free version doesn't have the copy collaborate, I'm assuming. What you could do then is you could actually, like, off the top of my head, I think you probably could do the forked version for it then, especially for like the peer editing and review. Like if someone shares it, their table kind of can fork it, and then kind of like compare notes at the end, or like just tell their table like, "Oh, I found an error on line 7." If they're all not typing in the same version, you could still do like the table. Oh, collab is in the free version too. Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, so you should be able to just do the same exact thing in collab, in the free version.
Okay, another question is, Tiffany, in a group debugging, do you have a whole class doing this at once? Do kids get overwhelmed with so many people editing the same code?
Yeah, so I've done both. I've done it if it's like a very like quick code, like I know we're going to be through it pretty quickly, then doing it whole class kind of ends up being fine because it is overwhelming, especially if it's a big class. But like I haven't had too many issues with it being like something we're doing as a do first for like a few minutes. And usually kids are pretty good about like participating and kind of working through it. If it's going to be something longer, or I feel like, this particular class, like I know maybe like that can be overwhelming. I've done the number 2 option I have up there where I make 6 different links of the same program and then like post it to Schoology, and each table goes to their table link. And then they're only working in that one document. So yeah, that's what I did. So Greg, that's what I do for the second one. For the different links, I just make, yeah, so I'll do the first one. So for the group to have the same link, you just do that collaboration link. If you want the whole class to be in the same link. If I want each table to be using a different file or a different link, I just have to make 6 different versions in my sandbox. And then it's 6 different links. And I just post it to Schoology on the do first assignment where it's like table 1, here's your link. Table 2, here's your link. And maybe there's a better way to do that. That's the way I've been doing it. And it's worked out thus far. Yeah, so that's why, Gregory, I said I do it for like longer ones. If we're working on like a debugging that's maybe going to be like 30 minutes, I don't do it every time for like a 5-minute do first. I kind of pick and choose for like, okay, we really are struggling with, I'll give you an example. Like we're doing HTML right now. We were really struggling with closing our tags. So I made a much longer code that was like every error was basically a closing tag. And I was like, this is going to take them 30 minutes to do, but like we are closing tags until we never miss a closing tag again. And it worked. Yeah, it worked. It was for my 6th graders. So they had a ton of fun. But that one I did like, this is going to be a painstaking long process. We are doing this in tables and I'm going to make the effort. And once you get in the rhythm of doing it, it is a heavy lift, but I don't know. The payoff is great because like I said, it's not overwhelming for all of them. And like, you have a lot of good table talk on that then, especially as kids see other tables getting closer to solving it. They're like, no, we've got to get it. So it's fun.
Okay, just a couple quick things. You've got some great questions. Remember, the Q&A is maybe a better venue for actual questions, but you guys are doing great. I do have one more, Steve. Question came in from John. Can you set up semi-permanent groups based on tables so that the class is preset for small group work in something like a group debugging? Yeah,
so I would love that. I don't know if it is if anyone uses this more than me, I'm interested in that. I don't know if there's a way to do it. I know you can do groups in Schoology, which is what we use. So like we could do like I don't know if there's a way to do it through like Schoology or Canvas groups if you use Canvas. I'm not sure if there's a way to do it on CodeHS. I will make a note to find out. Maybe I can maybe add it to the PowerPoint if it's not doing that, but I would love if that's a feature. Right now, I've been kind of doing the thing I said I've done, and their tables are the same. Okay, Google Classroom, create assignment for groups. Yeah. So, okay, so I like Gregory's suggestion. If you always use the same link, it's always in that group always has access to the same link. That would work. So you just go change the code periodically. Yeah, that's Gregory. That's a great suggestion. So like you would use this same link, like this is table 1's group debugging, and I just update the code each time and the link is always the same. That's very smart. Cool. Thank you. That's a great answer. All right. Any other questions? I think I saw one thing about the history. So you can go back into history and like update from a point. If you go into more history, just like any other file, and I can click this and I can click restore, and now it's back. So there is a way to undo it if something goes awry, which can happen in class. We all know it. So yeah, that's built in as a way to fix that. Cool. Any other Q&A on this one, or I can move to number 2? Yeah, so as a teacher, I can moderate them. I just kind of am floating around, or I kind of can have them all up. I've like split tabs before, so I can just easily jump in back and forth between them. I kind of just do that in browser. Cool. All right, I'm going to move to our second activity. This one's super fun, and I'm interested if any of y'all have done this. But this is particularly, to use this in class, make a sandbox file for your code. This PowerPoint, you're going to get this PowerPoint. Click share and collaborate, and then you just distribute the link. So if you're curious how to do this, those are the steps right there. And I think multiple links came out as well from, I think Janet put some links in the chat too for more use on this. All right, so number 2. So this is particularly, I've done this with Carol, but I'm sure you can do it with other languages too. But Carol's just really great because you make worlds and students solve them. I'm hoping we've all done at least one Carol unit in CodeHS. But so the purpose of this is, and this worked really well as a pair activity and peer feedback for those pieces we were talking about earlier. So you inspire students' creativity by having them create custom Carol problems for their peers to solve. So there's a way in CodeHS to actually have kids make their own Carol worlds, and then you can have them solve their own worlds. You can have them pass it to their peers, and their peers have to solve their own worlds. But this is cool for a couple reasons. Number one, you get kids, once kids get really good at Carol, it's like, for especially particularly like your high achievers, it's a really fun next challenge. The other thing is you as the teacher get an unlimited bank of Carol problems that you can then use because your kids are coming up with it. So these were some of the worlds that my kids came up with. These were the start, they make their starting and their solution worlds. So you could have Carol like start in an entire field of tennis balls. This one here, they even played with multiple tennis balls in one spot. I got a lot of mazes. And then some kids just like spelling words in their tennis balls. Like you can see the high at the end. I got a lot of hearts, but kids actually set up where the tennis balls are, where the walls are, what Carol's going to have to do, where Carol's going to face. And then you as the teacher, you can require different things in their solution. So you can be like, all right, make your own world. But then when you solve it, like, I need you to use a for loop. So kids are then confronted with, okay, how do I use a for loop here? How do I use a for loop in this one? Depending on what you're teaching, what that current unit is. And then the most fun is when kids then pass their program to their peers and be like, try and solve this. And then they get really mad when their peers solve it very quickly or take forever. It's a very fun kind of peer activity. But yeah, so we're going to do this. I'm going to model it, and then I'm going to let you all follow these steps to make your own Carol world. So I'm going to kind of just go through this, and then I will go back to this slide, and you all can make one yourself. Spend like 3 minutes so you can set it up. So the way you do it is in Sandbox, and you can direct the kids to do this. You have them create a program, and this will work in any of the languages where Carol exists. And you can also have them do it with Super Carol, Ultra Carol, whichever version of Carol you and your class are currently on. It just depends what Carol can do. So like if you're using Ultra Carol, you can make them like have to color spaces certain ways. I'm just going to do a regular old Carol for right now. And then it brings up your Sandbox program. You get your starter code, you get your world. And then what you do is you click Edit Carol Worlds. And now the kids are actually under the hood. They're editing the problem. So what you first do is you don't click Add New World, because that would be like if you want to do the if statements where you have multiple worlds they have to solve with one code. So that'd be where you can add that in. But the first thing you just to edit the starting world is you click Edit, And then you can change pretty much everything about the grid. You can change how wide it is, how tall it is, what direction Carol faces. You can change where Carol's starting. Really whatever you want to do, you can make those changes. And then, like I said, you add where, like, let's say I want to make Carol like have to, we'll do the classic jumping a hurdle. Oops, that's not right. Oh, so if you put a wall in the wrong place, you can move it, remove it. Then you just click on it. There we go. All right, I want Carol to, I'm just going to do a basic one. Carol has to go jump over the wall, get to this tennis ball. Then I'm going to press save, so it saves my world. And then I'm going to press add solution. And you'll notice I'm now editing the solution world. You should see that up here. Now you just pick where you want Carol to go. So I'm going to go have move Carol over to here. I'm going to press to clear all balls and the tennis ball is gone. I'm going to save that, and that is now my solution. Then I click back to exercise. And notice it's now a Carol problem. Starting world, ending world. And when kids are actually, if you actually make this an exercise, it'll like, the test cases will check code and be like, you didn't solve it, which is kind of fun. But then you can just have kids delete the starter code and kind of go ahead and just start solving their thing, or pass it to a peer and be like, solve this. And again, you as the teacher can kind of determine, like, your solution has to use a for loops, your solution has to use a function. If you're doing the if statements, you can do add new world, and like, then it'll make a second world, because we know with the if statements, you can make it so you have to write the one code where based on the conditions it has to solve it. And then you see there's now a second world there. If you accidentally add it, you can just remove from item, and there it is. But yeah, this is a ton of fun to use in class. We had a lot of fun with it this year. I'm going to give you all a few minutes if you want to play around with it and start set up your own world. You can follow these steps. But yeah, like this is another one that one of my kids made. This was the starting world, and then Carol had to go all around the world, pick up the tennis balls, and end here. But yeah, I'll give you a few minutes if you want to play around with this, get this set up so you've done it before. And then if you have any questions, you want to put that in the chat too. Yeah, and then I'll talk about some ways I've used this in class. I'll give you like 3 minutes if you want to quickly go to Sandbox and kind of set this up. We'll start playing around with it.
And Steve, Carla asked, how do you pass the Sandbox problems they create?
So you can do this one of two ways. You can use the collaboration feature we just saw. So like, you can have them do, so this will make a Sandbox file when they do this. Back to program. Yeah, you can do the same collaboration feature you just saw. Or if it's like a peer thing, you can do the copy and have them fork it. That usually works pretty well, because then they're not editing the same code. You can do the same collaboration feature you just saw. Or you can literally just, if they're working with a partner, you can trade computers, kind of whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. But all the basic collaboration feature we just saw exists. And then you can also just have them pass computers if you want, and have them start typing it out. So how would I grade an activity like this? So yeah, I graded, number one, there was a rubric for like what the world had to have. Like your world has to have, like I think I said, it had to be at least 10 by 10. It had to have at least like 7 items in it. Like if it was 4 walls and 3 tennis balls, cool, that counts. You could just, I just picked 7 as an arbitrary number. You could kind of do whatever you want. And then depending on what, like, if you're grading the solution, you could just be like, your solution solves a for loop. Oh, for the peer sharing. Yeah, so we did like a kind of an organized, like your program had to be solvable by your peers, so you couldn't just make something impossible. But like the initial thing was like how the rigor would be there of like if you're adding like actual like a certain amount of things in, like that would be like a basic, it would be challenging enough for a partner to get something from solving. I also just kind of did like they were required to give feedback to their peer on their world. And then the people who made the world gave feedback to their peer on their solution code. So I kind of did my grade based on like participation. Like you found everyone had to share with 3 different partners. Everyone had to solve 3 other people's activities, and then give the feedback to each other each time. So that was how I graded the one I did. I did a feedback paper that kids carried their packet around as they were solving other people's programs. I just did the trading at the table. So kids just had a feedback packet that they wrote out their feedback and then they turned and talked, shared with their partner. Then they went on to somebody else's program and on page 2, they let their feedback. Yeah, let me see. I can find it. Let me open a new tab. It's somewhere in my Google Drive. Yeah, that was how I did that. That's a good question. Yeah, and if there are other suggestions on how y'all would grade it, I would love that because again, I already learned so much about the debugging from y'all. So yeah, of course. I can go back in my Google Drive and find it. I don't know if there's a way to share file. Jane is saying, is there a way to share files later, like after the fact?
Like sharing files to the participants after the meeting?
Yeah. Yeah, is there like a formal way, or I can also one of it?
I'm not sure, Sandy, do you know?
They'll get the
Oh, the
your
slideshow.
yeah, they'll get the slide deck.
Yeah.
And so if your links are in there.
Okay, cool. Greg, I'll find it and I can send it to you. And I can also I'll just put the link in the slide deck too. Yeah, I'll add as a slide of the slideshow to this section and then it'll be in there. Cool. I certainly want to take everyone's time trying to go through my Google Drive because I was like, it's not as organized as I thought it was. But yeah, I'll go back to kind of just some suggestions for how I use this. But these are the kind of the things I said. Have students trade and try to solve partners' problems. Number 2, you can add multiple starting worlds, and that's how they can practice the conditionals part 2. And then, yeah, having students grade, like I said, they had to go around and get 3 different peers to solve their problem. And it was kind of cool because then they would see that other people solve their problems in different ways. So you kind of get the practice with the, just seeing multiple steps to a solution that we love in computer science. Kids can kind of actually see how they maybe had an idea in their head of how something was going to be solved, but then they saw their peers do it too. Cool. Any other questions or thoughts on this before I show the last thing? Amazing. And if you all want to try this, again, the slideshow will be coming out. I'll add my like peer feedback organizer when I have it, I'll put that in there. But yeah, the slide will be coming out with the steps for how you can set up your own Carol worlds. And I tried to write it fairly student facing, so you could just kind of plug and play with your instructions and add however you see fit. Perfect. Anything in the Q&A, or are we ready for idea 3? Cool. All right, so idea 3, this is student teacher. And I believe in the closing address, there's going to be more shared on this because it's currently a beta feature. But CodeHS is adding a feature for live feedback on exercises where you can actually, it'll allow us to give better feedback and be better kind of collaborators with our students on their work. I've also found it's the best thing ever for differentiation, and I'll show you kind of why in a second. But just a way to like help us give better feedback. And the reason is it allows us, I think in a standard version, when you open up a student's exercise, you see what it was at the moment you opened up. And if you type into it, it doesn't affect their code. You have to refresh it to see. And then, yeah, but it's currently the current way things currently are, right? Like it's not up to the minute, is when you refresh it, you then see the recent changes. But there's currently a beta version. I believe it's going to get shared more in the closing address by CodeHS. But you'll notice this is a student's exercise. You'll notice that there are two kind of icons up at the top. One is me and one is a student. And we're actually, it turns their exercise into kind of a live collaboration sandbox that we are actually editing together. So there's no way for the exercises to be shared with other students. So if it's like an assignment you're grading, you don't have to worry about like students can't just go into someone else's code and start messing with it. It's only teacher student. But you can see this red cursor is the student's where she's typing. We're doing website practice. They're picking a hero and building a website, and she did Spider-Man, as you can see. But yeah, so you can see we're both editing this together. Anything I type into that file shows up on their screen. And then I see up to the minute what they're typing. So it makes for a lot more just a lot easier collaboration. In particular, if I had this when I was Zoom teaching, this would have been the greatest thing ever. But it's been great to have in class because it allows me to just give more immediate feedback. I can leave comments and be like, hey, this section is causing an error. Or what if you tried this? And I can leave a comment like right in the code, which is a lot better than like what I was used to doing where I was leaving comments in Schoology and hoping the student made the connection to their code or typing in the CodeHS feedback thing. This just allows me to be in the moment, real time, targeted. This is the area of your code I want you to look at. The other thing I found out too is it works really well for differentiation because I can give starter code to individual students kind of as needed. If I want to scaffold something more for a particular student, if I want to leave comments like helping them get started, I can do that by just typing into their file, which is amazing. So currently it's in beta, but it will allow teachers to jump in and code along with students right when they're doing the exercises in the course. So it kind of makes it so rather than just be collaboration in Sandbox, teachers and students can collaborate in their exercise. And like I said, these are the two ways I've already started using it. I'm excited to, as it becomes a thing we're all using, just learn from everyone else about how they're using it. But the differentiation piece has been just an absolute game changer in my class because I can kind of individually scaffold for kids as needed, whether it's in an IEP or whether like a student just absolutely needs, like maybe a student's been absent for a bit and I want to give them a head start just to get them caught up. I can do that just for that student in a very easy, quick way. So that is my pitch on live teacher-student collaboration. And that also, that's the last idea. So if there's any questions on this, we'd love to hear them or just any other thoughts. So the live feedback, all I have to do is go into the exercise. So if I go to CodeHS, I go to the student's exercise, I just click on the activity. I now immediately see this screen. Like I see this screen with me in there as well. And whenever I type into their exercise, just shows up on their screen as well. So it's automatic once it's turned on. There's another feature in it too. You can actually turn on the chat for the student too. So students can give you like an immediate chat, like I need help here. Yeah, David, the differentiation has been the absolute best part of this for both like students I know I need to differentiate for, or just like in the moment, things that come up and I need to differentiate. Like it's been so amazing to know that I can do this now. And that we'll all be able to do this. It's been phenomenal for that piece. Any other questions or thoughts? And I'll click to the survey in a second.
The survey has actually changed, so I'm going to put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll send that out.
Perfect. I thank you all so much for coming and talking. I got so many good ideas, and just getting to talk collaboration with you all has been wonderful. Even the Vegas Golden Knights fans, it was fun to talk with you too.
Any last questions for Steve?
Aaron, those slides I think are going to come out, right? Sandy and
Yes.
Janet, the slides will be sent out. Yeah, so the slides will be sent out.
In an email, I believe.
Cool, it'll come in an email.
Well, thank you, Steve. This was
Yeah.
wonderful. And thank you everybody for coming out on a Saturday once again. I know this is your weekend, but it's going to make a difference. And Steve, that was truly amazing.
Thank you all for being a great audience. This was a lot of fun.